So from these snapshots of a life, I want to draw a few conclusions, and I think you'll recognize these patterns also in the other tributes. You know, in the obituary that Ron read earlier, you heard some of Joe Johnson's earthly accomplishments. But despite whatever degrees may be present in this room, despite whatever awards or recognition is present in this audience, allow me to suggest that Granny was more accomplished than any of the rest of us in the accomplishments that matter. So, what was it about her life that made it so compelling, so attractive? What made Granny such a standout? Why was this, as I suggested at the start, such a beautiful life? First, I would say selflessness. Now, over the last few days, as we've been reminiscing, this concept has come up again and again. Selflessness. She poured out her life for others. C.S. Lewis once remarked that the opposite of pride is not thinking any less of yourself. It's just not thinking of yourself. And that was Granny through and through. Joy. Granny always had a smile. She always had a laugh. You had a good time when you were with her. She was not naive about the world, but she was joyful. I was reminded last night how when Granny and Aunt Helen were together, they could just cackle with laughter and jokes. Contentment. Well, it's true that Granny enjoyed fine things, but it was not in a striving or grasping way. Like the Apostle Paul, Granny knew the secret of how to be content in any and every circumstance, how to be brought low, how to abound, how to face plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I never recall her being discontent. Peace. I recall a tremendous sense of peace and safety at Granny's house growing up. And it was not just because her basement was the place we'd all flee to in the middle of the night during a tornado watch, which is true. Although, metaphorically that really works. Because she had a serene confidence and peace and calm even in the face of great difficulty. Bob was telling me last night about her calm presence during the Lubbock tornado and how she took the boys down into the basement without drama or fuss or fear or panic. And that really is an emblematic story because in the storms of life all around you, going to Granny was going to a place of peace. Wisdom. She always seemed to know exactly what to do with any given situation. She knew when to hold her tongue and when to speak. She was a woman of wisdom and grace. I never heard Granny say an unkind thing about any living soul. I don't think anyone did. She never shouted. She never acted out angrily. She was not a woman of discord or gossip or slander. She was full of charity and grace. And undergirding all of these other virtues, she was a woman of love. And you heard that so many times already today. My personal belief is that love is not a feeling or a warm fuzzy, although feelings and warm fuzzies often flow from love. I believe that love is doing at all times what is in the best interest of the beloved. Love is doing at all times what is in the best interest of the beloved, no matter the cost to yourself. And that's how Granny lived. Always looking first to the best interest of those that she loved. Selflessness, joy, contentment, peace, wisdom, grace, and love. Think about that. Wow. Granny was a Hebrews 11:38 kind of woman. The world was not worthy of her. But at the same time, Granny was just a woman, just an everyday, ordinary woman. I think about the title. There's a new book out by a former Secretary of State about her amazing parents. And the book is called Extraordinary Ordinary People. What a great term. Extraordinary Ordinary People. That captures Granny. So ordinary in so many ways, yet more accomplished than any of the rest of us. Extraordinary. And here's the deal, and please catch this. All of her achievements are within the realm of possibility for you and for me. She was not a saint. She had struggles. She had temptations, believe it or not. I don't know what any of them were, but I know she did. So we should resist the temptation to put Granny and her accomplishments in some entirely separate category in a box over here, as though you and I are unable to ever go there and do that. What makes Granny's life so compelling, so beautiful, so amazing is the fact that this ordinary, extraordinary human life was so caught up in the radiance of God's love and goodness that she was able to reflect that love and goodness from the Father back toward us. That's what makes her incredibly worthy life so compelling to us. The selflessness, the joy, the peace, the contentment, the wisdom, the grace. Her refusal to ever stop believing in the goodness of God and his purposes. To talk about Granny is almost to recite the fruit of the Spirit from Galatians. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Have you ever known anyone who more lived out these fruits? Granny's life was a beautiful life because it was such a reflection of the qualities and character of God. And in this broken world, our hearts yearn for that. God has hardwired our hearts for a different place. And Granny brought the reality of that place into this world. An extraordinary, ordinary, beautiful life. I'm going to be so bold as to make a suggestion about how we can best honor Granny as we leave today. It's not to think any less of ourselves in comparison to her. It's just as C.S. Lewis said, not to think of ourselves. It's not trying harder to be a better person. It's to grab hold of the fullness of life in Jesus. To be so caught up, like Granny, in the radiance and goodness and mercy of God that we can't help but pour our lives out as a beautiful reflection of him, just as she did. Granny truly led a beautiful life, and by her life, she points to the one who offers the same life to all of us. I'm so thankful that we have a strong and certain hope through him. I am so thankful that Christians never need to say goodbye. So, Granny, until we meet again, we are all going to miss you tremendously. We're going to carry you with us always. And the amazing gift of your life to us. We love you.